Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of First Look, Final Word, podcast where we take you along to see a new movie. I'm Pete.
And I'm Trevor. What's going on, you sandal wearers?
Sandal wearers, okay.
Because gladiators wear sandals.
Yep, Gladiator II. This week, Electric Boogaloo.
Gladiator II.
That's the name, right?
Yeah, for new listeners, we should highlight that we are in a car. We are going to drive to the theater and then watch the movie. And
Yeah,
then,
we should
tell you about the movie we just saw.
Yeah, I guess we should make that more clear. I'll have to update the intro.
I think so.
Now it's been a year.
It's very catchy, the intro. But,
It doesn't explain it, I guess.
So, Gladiator II, years after witnessing the death of the revered hero Maximus at the hands of his uncle, Lucius is forced to enter the Colosseum after his home is conquered by the tyrannical emperors who now lead Rome with an iron fist. With rage in his heart and the future of the empire at stake, Lucius must look to his past to find strength and honor to return the glory of Rome to its people.
Wow, there you go.
All right, do we even need to go to the movie? That was pretty clear.
Yeah, I think I can pretty much picture exactly how that's going to go, so that's fine. I might just watch Gladiator again.
So I know we sort of have talked about it already on our episode on Napoleon, which everybody should check out. This is the first time we're covering a director that we've already covered. Did you realize that?
I didn't realize that, but that makes sense, yes.
Yeah, so Napoleon's one of our first episodes.
Was it? When did we do Napoleon? When was that?
That was our third episode.
Oh.
So it was early December 2020.
Okay, so yeah, probably about a year ago, maybe. Yeah.
And Ridley Scott is a prolific filmmaker.
Right. Just knocks
he
him
makes on average one movie a year.
Yeah. Of varying quality. So I would say.
So we got into kind of our history with Ridley Scott a little bit on that episode, but I think maybe for new listeners we should do a quick run through. So how do you feel about old Ridders?
I mean, he's got some bangers on his old lineup there. If you look back over his filmography, but it's like I was saying, it is very. I would say that if you go through them, there is varying quality. Like it's not like he only produces bangers, but when he does, when he makes a hit, then it's definitely a hit. I mean, he's had some of the greatest movies of all time, basically, certainly. Right? You could do, like at least 3 or 4 have come from this guy. So
yeah, I think I would rate Gladiator like as his third best movie.
Oh yeah,
anyways, the third most liked movie by me.
Right.
I love Alien and I love Blade Runner.
Mm-hmm.
I think those are not controversial picks to have at number 1 and number 2.
Shocking.
But I would put Gladiator at number 3, not really at that level as those two, which I think are close to perfect masterpieces. But Gladiator is just like an incredibly good movie.
Yeah.
And like probably his most fun movie, I would also say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I would agree. Like I have a huge soft spot for Gladiator. Like you can't, like to your point, you can't realistically put it higher than than those two, or even probably maybe some others. But for me, I just love it so much. Like it definitely has some flaws, but I mean, it's such a great movie. It's like a movie. You know what I mean? It's just like it has the set pieces, it has the lines, it has the deliveries. It's just a fun movie, and like it gets you in all the right, pulls on the heartstrings at the right times, and like it's crazy how well it works. I think is what I'm trying to get around to. Like it shouldn't have worked as well as it does. I think it's just like when you look at the movie, like this shouldn't be that great. It's like pretty like standard, like Sonos Dandel's Gladiator movie. But it's so good. It's just so good.
And really, like it's been 24 years since Gladiator came out, but even at the time, it was an old-fashioned sort of movie.
Yeah.
Like very much in the style of like the 50s and 60s.
Bit of a throwback, right? Yeah,
like
definitely.
Historical, ancient Greek, Rome, biblical epics that they really didn't make a lot anymore.
Right.
And like, what's a Gladiator type movie that's come out since then that's been as like even in the same ballpark as that one? Arguably, like Ridley Scott is the only one who keeps trying to make something like Gladiator.
Exactly. Like what was that? What was the one he did the Egypt one? What was that?
It's like
Gods
Gods of Egypt,
gods of whatever it was, like
or of Gods and Men or
I
something
can't
like
remember
that.
what it was, Gods and Kings or something.
Yeah, I think maybe Gods and Kings. I didn't like it.
No, I never even watched it because I heard
Yeah, I watched it
it got
recently.
pretty panned, so I never got around to even watching that. And then they redid Ben-Hur, didn't they, recently? Who did that?
Oh my god, I think we mentioned.
I just heard
I,
Trevor's feelings bringing
I,
that up.
I think we mentioned this movie on when we did Napoleon.
Right, you might be right.
And I totally forgot about that they redid Ben-Hur again. Like it's such a bad idea.
I know. I didn't watch that either.
No, I never saw it.
I kind of refused to watch that one.
I can tell from the trailer that it's a piece of garbage, and I don't think it's really fair to do that. But like, you can really tell that it's not a good movie from just that voiceover that Morgan Freeman is doing in that trailer.
That's fair. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've no desire to see that at all.
No, me either. Me either.
And then yeah, like Scott did Napoleon, which we saw last year, but it's trying to do the same sort of thing. Like, I think Napoleon's trying to be a lot of fun while telling a story with, like, big set pieces and armies clashing.
Yeah. So I was thinking back to Napoleon, and it's like it's got some like batshit stuff in there. Like some of the lines in that movie, I'm like, is this a comedy? Like, he's trying to be a comedy. At some points, it's like some of the lines he comes out with are just crazy.
Like I know we said after we saw Napoleon that I had an interest in seeing a longer cut.
Yeah,
and I've really gone back on that. I've no desire to see that movie is just like really festered inside my brain into something terrible.
Wow.
It's like so much of the action sequences in that movie are amazing.
Yeah,
I think overall the movie is just like shit. Like I feel like I'm no fun saying that because was clearly trying to have fun with that movie, but I just did not vibe with it at all.
No, it didn't quite hit, did it?
I thought Phoenix's performance was really bad, and he's an actor that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
But I think he was atrocious in that movie.
Yeah, it seemed a bit like he didn't really know what he was supposed to be doing at times.
Yeah,
which might have been the case, to be fair. It's funny you talk about extended cuts though, because I rewatched Gladiator this week.
I should have done that,
and I watched the extended version, and I've probably seen Gladiator maybe more than any other movie ever, because growing up, it was my brother's favorite movie, and he's my older brother, so he just put it on constantly. So I saw it so much. I'd probably seen it like 50 times, and
shout out to Chris.
Yeah, so shout out to Fletch. And I'd never seen the extended theatrical cut. So I was watching this. I finished watching it last night, and I was like, wow, I can understand why they cut all this out. Have you ever seen the extended cut?
This is honestly the first time I'm even aware that there is an extended.
I didn't either. It's just I saw it was
such
on
a
there.
Scott thing, and all of his extended cuts are worse.
Yeah, and I was like, I've never seen it, so I'll have to throw that on. So I didn't even realize. Same with you. I didn't even realize it existed, and like every time I was like, wasn't in the theatrical, and I was like, yeah, I can see it. I can see why now. There's like an extra 5 minutes of scenes of mostly talking about grain and bread. I'm not even joking.
Well, you got to know what it's all about.
Well, it's just like everything else. It's just like it slowed it down, and it added extra clunky stuff that you didn't really. It reminded me a bit of Napoleon at times. Actually, this extended cut, I was like, oh, can we just move on to something else? Let's go another battle. So I also maybe there's an even less. What's the opposite of extended? Reduced cut of condensed Napoleon cut. Just cut out some of the dross. But I don't know. But no, yeah, there was definitely. It was because in my mind I was like, wow, it's great. This is a great example of how you can just cut the fat off it and just get it moving, because you don't need to understand how he's paying for the games and how it's going to affect Rome in the future and how he's using up all the grain reserves. Like, nobody cares. It's not important. And they talk about it 3 different times in this movie.
That's really interesting because like Gladiator was heavily influenced by the fall of the Roman Empire, like the 60s movie. Okay. And there's like a lot of talk about like, bad leadership in that one, and like mismanagement by Commodus.
Okay, right.
He took a lot of what was there from that script, and then threw in threw in some Ben-Hur, threw in some Spartacus and stuff like that, and
Put in a blender.
and put it all in a blender, and like you got this miraculous product. And like a big problem with Fall of the Roman Empire is it just has these like really slow moments,
like boring parts,
and like it's just like it's a lot of like Senate debates and like people going back and forth on certain positions.
Right.
Which I think Gladiator really finds a good middle for that. Like you kind of get the idea that, Commodus is not a really good guy. You don't have to know what his particular policies are.
Yeah, it was another interesting thing that I noticed about is a lot of the stuff that they cut out that they put back into the extended was Commodus stuff. It was like showing him more, like doing more horrible things and being more like crazy and weird. And I found that really interesting because I'm like, you really didn't need it. Like you cut all that out and he still is like he portrays him so well. He's such a great character. Like you don't need to ram it home that much.
Yeah, well, like they've already shown that he killed his own father and ordered Maximus's wife and son to be murdered.
You don't really need.
He wants to bang his own sister. Like,
exactly.
Like, do we really need to see like if he's an effective leader?
Exactly. You don't need to see him like murdering a couple more guys. It's like you don't really care.
Well, like Fall of the Roman Empire. It doesn't have Commodus doing like any of that like
weird stuff,
any of that murderous stuff or anything like that. Like, but it does show like he's creating like a cult of personality around him. That's all like planting the seeds for Rome's destruction.
Right.
Where I think Gladiator really succeeds. It's not really all that interested in Rome.
No,
like,
not really.
It's just a revenge tale,
personal
right?
story of revenge. Yeah, weird bad guy versus heroic, gruff, perfect dude. Like, it's funny. Like that's kind of why I guess we can start getting into a little bit about. I'm not sure how confident I am that the sequel is going to be able to sort of get that lightning in a bottle again, because I feel like it won't be because it was pretty like black and white, the first one. It was very much the heroes. Maximus is a hero, and basically an unstoppable hero force for good. And I don't know if they'll go that route again. I think they'll probably try and make it a little bit more gray. I would imagine, just knowing how they go these days.
Just hearing that synopsis, it does sound like there's going to be like a bit of gray there, right? Because it's Lucius, who was Commodus's nephew.
Yes.
And it sounds like, because I always sort of just assumed at the end of Gladiator that he was going to go on to become the emperor or whatever after that.
I mean, the idea was that there wasn't going to be an emperor.
They were going to bring back the Senate,
right? Give it back to the Senate. Yeah. What was his name? Oh, I just watched it last night. Not Gaius. The Senate, the good senator guy.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Because I think he's in this one. I saw him on IMDb. So he must still be knocking around.
Really? I thought he was like long dead.
No, because she's in it still, right? What's her name? Connie, like the Commodus' sister in the first one. His love interest. She's in this one.
Okay.
So I mean, yes, it's supposed to only be like 25 years later or whatever.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, so like at real time.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Right. Yeah.
So
So I'm a little worried. Is basically what I was trying to say. I'm a bit worried that they're gonna try and go for the same kind of things, and it's I feel like it was such a. Well, the stars had to align perfectly for that first one to be that good. Like, it's impossible to do that again. So I just don't think it's going to be as good as the first one, which I don't think anyone is really expecting. But then it's just like, well, why bother? Why bother doing it at this point?
I'm going into this with like very low expectations. When I first heard that they had finally greenlit a Gladiator II movie, when they've been flirting with this idea since the first one was a massive success.
Yeah, exactly.
When they first announced it, I thought it was a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. But as time has passed, and we've had like kind of a disastrous year at the box office,
right?
And I think like a lack of like really fun
that's
adventure movies. I'm more just like going in, I want to have fun. I don't want to like be hypercritical.
No.
I think like Gladiator is not like a franchise in my mind, so like I don't have any preciousness over it.
That's fair enough, yeah.
Because like it's been 24 years since the first one, so like
exactly,
like it's not like there's not like a set formula on what like a Gladiator movie is going to be.
And also it's a year where we've I feel at least like we've kind of broken the mold on legacy sequels having to be terrible. I think there's been a couple of pretty decent ones this year. We've actually reviewed them on the pod, like
Well,
Beetlejuice, and Axel Foley. I thought were pretty decent in terms of legacy sequels.
And even extending that a year further back for Top Gun Maverick, or is that two years back?
No, that's that. Now I think that was the first big one where it's like, you know what, you
These
can
don't
actually
have
do
to be
this well.
garbage.
Yeah, you can do this well. It's not just a money grab. It's a real fine line to tread, though, where it's like paying reverence to the first one, but also being your own thing and a good movie. Like, I feel like even though I do like those three examples we just brought up, I think are all very good movies. There are a couple of points where you're just like, oh, it's don't go too far into just like trying to redo stuff from the last movie. Like Top Gun Maverick was the best at trying to avoid that, I think, even though it had its volleyball scene and it had a couple of like similarities. It was definitely its own thing.
Yeah, like it. I guess like where Top Gun Maverick succeeded was that it was like really good bookends for Tom Cruise as a career. Like, because the first one is just like him emerging as a movie star,
the young whippersnapper,
and then this one is like the first half is like starting off with them saying like, you can't be a movie star anymore.
Yeah, you're too old, Tom. Stop doing that.
And then the second half is like them saying like, okay, you know what? No one's ever going to be as good of a movie star as you. Go ahead and do your thing.
You know what? No one's doing it better. You just carry on. Yeah, you got his bang on there, to be fair.
It's like, you know what? We thought Miles Teller could be the guy, but he's not the guy.
No, he's not the guy.
He can ride behind you.
No, but yeah, so I'm hoping this is more of a Top Gun Maverick than it is. I don't know. I was trying to think of a bad one, but I can't think of one right now.
Well, where I think this movie has an advantage over other legacy sequels is, I don't think there's like a huge like obviously Gladiator is a beloved movie, but like I don't think there's like a Gladiator subreddit that's everyone's talking about what they're looking for a Gladiator movie, and then they're making this movie based on what the fans want.
Yes, that's very true.
That's the biggest like pitfall where these legacy sequels fall into, is like they try to like give fans exactly what they want, and
too much fan service is definitely tricky. I mean, you can just look at Star Wars for that.
Well, that's the prime example, right? Like, because well,
at least they tried and they just backtracked on it.
You have The Last Jedi, and I'm not going to say what my opinion of The Last Jedi is because it's so it's so charged.
Well, let's put it out there, Trevor. We'll get arguments going on Reddit.
I think everyone agrees that The Rise of Skywalker was a reaction to the fan reaction of The Last Jedi.
Definitely,
they were trying to give Star Wars fans what they thought Star Wars fans wanted, and it pleased no one.
It was a huge backpedal. Although some people do like that movie.
Some people do. Honestly, there was a podcast that I listened to for a very long time.
You stopped listening
and I stopped listening to it because both of the hosts like gave glowing reviews of The Rise of Skywalker. And I said, like, the credibility of this podcast is in question. I just can't listen anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why people would like it, but I mean, I feel like if you like that movie, then you're probably under the age of 30. I'm just gonna say that. Could be ages.
Could be. I know, like it's not even like a family member, but it's like it's someone I kind of like know.
Distance himself already. Yeah.
Well, it's like very, very like distantly related to this person. Said that they went to go see Rise of Skywalker and they thought it was really good. They had never seen a Star Wars movie since they were a kid, and they hadn't seen the previous two sequel movies.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, okay, is this who this movie was for, I guess?
Yeah, I guess so, right?
Yeah, so apologies if you love The Rise of Skywalker. I think it's a really bad movie.
Yeah, it's not good. But they don't need to turn this podcast into a Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, so is Lucius going to be force sensitive? Is the big question.
You know what? I'm actually quite interested in seeing if they delve into it, and I'm sure they will, because I hadn't really remembered this, but from rewatching the first one this week, like it's basically his fault that it all goes to shit at the end. Like, Lucius spills the beans by being a naive idiot and basically cutting Commodus on to the whole plot. And that's why
I don't even remember that. What happened exactly?
Well, because they have the whole plot, right, where they're going to smuggle Maximus out, and he's going to go.
It's going to take over.
He's going to go with the dude from Sons of Anarchy and go find his army, and then basically march on Rome and dethrone Commodus. It's going to be pretty freaking awesome. That would be pretty sweet to see. But then Lucius basically is like, "Oh, Maximus, the savior of Rome," playing sword fighting games. And Commodus is like, "Who's saying that?" And then he's like, "Oh, my mum said that." So then he's like, "All right," and he gets her in, and he's like, You better tell me everything that's that. You better tell me what you've been doing, or I'm going to kill the kid." And then she's like, "Right." And then she tells him, and then
I forgot what led to that.
And then basically that's why that's why Proximo dies. All the guys die, and
okay, well
and he gets captured. So it's all his fault, basically.
That's a good primer for going into this one, because it seems like it's going to be
he's going to be guilt ridden about that, I would imagine. Like, it's all your fault that Max was and died, basically. But so I'm interested to see how this goes. The one thing they have done is, because that's the other thing I was thinking when I was watching movies, like, there's really great performances in the first one, like really great actors.
Yeah, and they got a great cast.
And they've stacked this one, right? Because that's the thing. It's like, you're going to do another movie. Like, how are you going to compare with all these like classic actors from the first one? I mean, Russell Crowe aside, I guess, but he played the part very well.
Well, they got some proven heavy hitters with Denzel Washington and Pedro Pascal, who's kind of an institution by this point.
Exactly right. It's like, you see him in the movie, just like, it's going to be good.
And like, Paul Mescal is this really promising up and coming actor who's already proven he's like one of the best actors of his generation.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen him in anything.
Well, so
what might I have seen him in?
So it's 2 years ago or 3 years ago now. He was in After Sun.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Which is one I've already called out on this podcast. Really one of my favorite recent movies.
Oh, okay, wow.
He plays a really sad dad. It's how I would describe the performance, and it's like,
he's not an old guy though, right?
No, he's not. I think he's about 27-ish.
Sad young dad.
Sad young dad. It is honestly, I think, like, the best performance of the decade so far.
Oh, really?
Wow. It's really incredible. I highly, highly recommend it.
So this is just going to be like propelling him into the stratosphere then.
Well, that's like, he got like a surprise Oscar nomination for that role just because it was like such an undeniable performance in a movie that like made no money, but like was my favorite movie of that year. Like, it's really, really great.
They got him this gig then, I would imagine.
Yeah, and then he was also in All of Us Strangers last year.
I didn't see that.
Which I also thought he was great in. People, I think, took exception to his accent because he's Irish, and he had like an English accent.
Gotcha.
In the movie, I've already mentioned that I cannot tell whether accents are good or not, so it didn't bother me.
And that's tough though. I mean, like, I think when you're an Irish actor, it's tough to do accents.
But like, anyway, so he's a guy I'm excited about. I'm hoping he can kind of make the jump to, like, movie star status, but still kind of do like that, the indie acting thing.
Yeah.
Like the one for you, one for me thing.
Yeah, let's hope so, right?
Like, kind of like Denzel Washington, kind of like Russell Crowe.
Right. And I think I feel like Denzel's in this part of his career where he's just like, I'm only going to do stuff that I'm going to have fun doing, or I really want to do. Like I'm just going to work with really great directors and I'll do really good parts.
And I just saw that like there's plans to do 2 more Equalizer movies.
No.
Yeah.
Where did you read that? Because literally I
read that yesterday.
I just literally heard an interview with him from last week where he basically said he's retired. He's not doing any more.
I just saw that. I just saw that yesterday
with Denzel. Because isn't he like in his 70s now?
Yeah, I think he just likes doing them. You know what? I'm going to fact check this when we stop the car, but
I'm not saying you're wrong, but I was surprised to hear it, because from what the interview, the impression I got from the interview I heard was that he was not doing any more Equalizer movies. He wants to direct, apparently.
Oh, really? Yeah. Has he ever directed?
I don't know. He must have done something.
Did he direct that? Did you ever see that, like, Spelling Bee? No. Or no, like, was it a debate movie? Maybe it's a debate movie.
No, I don't think it did. Was he in it?
He was in it in like a smaller role. Okay, I gotta look up 2 things about Denzel now.
Do some research during the previews.
So what do you think? What do you think about Denzel? Are you a big fan?
Oh man, how can you not be a fan of Denzel, man? He's amazing. I think I'm looking forward to seeing him in this movie, because I feel like this is going to be Denzel enjoying himself.
Well, he looks like he's having a lot of fun in those
Yeah.
trailers.
I think the same with like who are the guys that are playing like the twin emperors in this? Because there's like two emperors, right? Isn't it the kid
yeah,
who was
like
in the new Fantastic Four movie who was in Stranger Things? Is it him? I forget his name.
I don't know. I didn't get that down the cast list. I just know like Pedro's playing like a general. I think most of the new characters in this one are completely fictitious, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Whereas like
I'm not
Marcus
totally sure
Aurelius
much of it.
and Commodus are like real emperors.
Yeah, yeah,
Just like the story still is
yeah. I'm
made
not
up.
sure if this is how historically accurate this is about like these two. It might have been accurate. Like it was like co emperors.
Well, I know I think Marcus Aurelius and Commodus were like sort of co-emperors for a
Really?
while. Like it didn't actually happen like that in like how it played out in Gladiator at all.
Right, right.
And yeah, I don't know. I'm not like a big enough expert on
Yeah, it
Roman
doesn't
history or
really
anything like
matter.
that.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, who cares?
So they're twin emperors. Okay, so like
Well, I don't know if they're twins. I just meant there's two of them.
oh,
They might be twins. I don't know. I might have read twin and just thought they meant there's two of them.
twins. I was
Conjoined twin emperors? That's a choice.
As soon as you said twins, I was picturing like the twins from the Matrix, like the pale guys with dreadlocks,
like the albino guys.
Yeah,
Yeah, twin albino emperors. That would be amazing.
yeah, that'd be fucking sweet. And they could just
Right?
like
Doing kung fu.
yeah, on the back of transport trucks. Like, are you kidding me?
Kick a tiger in the face.
Yeah. Well, there's a crossover for you right there.
Right, we'll do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I am expecting though at least the set pieces to be pretty breathtaking. That's why I'm glad we're hitting IMAX for this one and doing it properly and seeing it on the big screen because it's going to be a spectacle no matter what.
Now, I am a little nervous about CGI.
Yeah, yeah. Hopefully, I don't know. I've not read anything about this movie and about like because I know with the first movie they did a lot of practical sets, obviously, with some CGI. That you know what stands up pretty well. For how old that movie is, the CG sort of extended sets of the Colosseum and stuff, and even a few shots of the tigers, I thought still worked fairly well.
Because they're real. It's real footage of the tigers, just like kind of
there's just one or two shots where they like superimpose it and jazz it up a bit.
Yeah, like do that more.
It just looks better.
What I'm worried about is from the trailer, it was showing like the one ape that like you could tell like it was just like a complete digital construction of that animal, which is just how people kind of prefer to work now, and I can't really say I blame them because it's more humane.
It's more humane. You get more control,
more predictable.
Yeah, you can control exactly how you're going to react.
I can't complain. Yeah, I can't.
You can complain, Trevor. Do it.
I'm going to complain.
You know you want to. We all know you want to. It just doesn't look as good. At the end of the day, it doesn't look. Sometimes you can tell that's not a real monkey.
So like complete tangent, but have you ever seen the movie Roar?
Roar. I don't believe so.
Have you heard about this one?
I don't. Remind me.
This is the one. It's an independent film from I think like 1978 or something like that.
Then I haven't seen it.
But no, it's famous for being like the least safe set ever.
Yeah, with the lions. I haven't seen this, but I know about it.
Tippi Hedren.
Did someone get like killed on that set?
Like
mauled or something?
Like I to my knowledge, I don't think anyone actually died, but like the footage that survived to go into the final movie is so upsetting. Like you can tell like the actors are just scared. Like it honestly has to be like the scariest viewing experience I've had as an adult because I'm like literally just worried for someone's life.
But it's when stuff like that happens, you go, this is why there's a bunch of like laws and stuff wrote up about what you can do on movie sets because of shit like this.
Yeah, man. Like it is just like I can't in good conscience recommend that movie to anybody.
Right.
But it is just a wild experience.
No, I have not seen it, but I have seen like articles about it and read a few things about that one. Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy what they used to do back in the day. It's just like throw some lions on set. Oh.
Well, yeah, it wasn't even it was like dozens of lions and tigers. Like it's just insane. Like and there's no plot. They're just like they're running around.
That's no plot.
And like the guy,
Just lions go.
the guy who's like running the sanctuary, he's made it his mission to like break up fights between the lions.
Oh,
Like,
okay. That seems like a really great choice.
This is not how, like, you can't just teach these things to be civilized. This doesn't work this way.
Like, no.
No, like
Stop
I'm
it.
not even joking. Like that is what he's doing the whole movie.
Did he have a rolled up newspaper he hit him with?
He's inserting
A spray bottle. Stop it.
he's like inserting himself between them.
Yeah, okay. That's smart.
Like it's really is unbelievable.
Maybe that's what Lucius will do in this movie.
Yeah.
Can we all just get along, guys?
Yeah, come on.
Come on, giant ape creature. Let's just be friends. No.
Did you want to like talk to kind of your favorite scenes from the first one?
There's so many good. The thing about the first one is there's so many great lines, and I would almost forgotten how many great lines there are. I mean, there's obviously the most famous part where he does his little speech, like I am Maximus Decimus Meridius,
Yeah.
which is probably the best.
Husband to a murdered wife.
It's probably the best delivery of a line ever. It's just like so good. Because he doesn't put in like an amazing performance in that movie. He does a really good job, but when he does that bit, you just like that guy. I would die for that guy.
I don't know. Like I think that's my favorite Crow performance. Like, do you think
well,
like,
it is? I mean,
because he's like he's not like hamming it up, right? Like,
well, what I mean is, it's not
subtle.
it's not a very it's not a super complex character. It's just like he's just playing the good soldier, and he does it amazingly well. It's an amazing performance, but I don't know. It's just like when he does that, you're like, okay, this is shit's on now.
Well, he just has like this integrity about him the entire movie,
right?
Like he just has this awesome star power.
Yeah.
Russell Crowe, circa 24 years ago.
Proper movie star.
Yeah, like he was just like in the pocket then.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, did he win his Oscar for that one, or was it for A Beautiful Mind?
It was A Beautiful Mind, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I think he was nominated for Gladiator, though.
I think so. Yeah, I don't really like A Beautiful Mind very much.
So I think because that was after Gladiator, right? I feel like
I think that was I think that was the year. It was like back to back.
I think it was a bit like, sorry, we didn't give it to you last year. You can have it now. And it was like, even though this wasn't as good.
I'm more mad at A Beautiful Mind because Ron Howard won Best Director over both Robert Altman and David Lynch, which is just like a crime, I would say.
Yeah. We'll have to do a whole episode at some point about just digging into the Oscars and why
things we don't like.
Why it's a load of shit.
Yeah, like I still watched it. I still watch it every year.
Yeah, so I was going back to great lines though in the first one. So there's that, and then there's obviously, are you not entertained? How many times have people said that? But then even like some of the stuff that Joaquin Phoenix does, where he's like, "Am I not merciful?" Like that written in a script is just like, yeah, that's fine. But the way he delivers it, you're just like, holy shit, it's kind of out of nowhere.
Well, yeah, like they found like a good balance between like Shakespearean and like WWF.
Yeah, and like we're all just shadows and dust. Just like lines like that, it's just like sometimes that's what I mean. I feel like if you look at the script, you're like, they're great lines, but I don't know how well they're going to work in the movie.
Well, they're kind of corny, right?
That's what I mean. It's just like that should be corny, but then
very straight down the middle.
Yeah, but then like you get these guys into delivery, and you're like, oh, amazing.
I know. I really love the first scene when they get to the Coliseum and they all like he like teaches them all to like kind of group together,
right?
And then they unexpectedly win the Battle of Carthage.
There's a great. It's funny. I saw this movie so many times with my brother. There's little things that always make me laugh because there's the bit where he does that and he's like, "Has anyone here served in the army or whatever?" And there's one guy who goes, "I served with you at like this battle," and he turns around and the way he turns around and looks at him, it's almost like "Oh shit, it's him!" It's like, "Oh, I didn't see over there, Dave." And every time he does it, I'm like,
no doubt.
It's like, I didn't know you were in. He's like, "Is anyone here served in the army?" The guy's like, "Yeah, I was fucking served with you like last week."
Served for you for 8 years.
Yeah, I'm like, you said I was your best friend. No, that's an amazing thing. Like, because that's like when he changes from like, I'm apathetic and not giving a shit and not even getting involved in this as much as I want. So like, no, now we're gonna do it properly. Yeah, that's a great scene. all the Colosseum fights are amazing in that. The tiger with the big guy, like
Yeah.
it's amazing.
To you who are about to die,
I mean,
I salute you.
salute you. Yeah.
Well, what a great movie. Are we about to go see a great movie, Pete? Are we
I
about to see a good movie?
I think it's going to be. I mean, my expectations are a little shaky, but I'm one thing I'm sure of is I'm going to be pleased. I'm going to be happy with it. I think it's going to be nowhere near as good as the first one, which is fine because the first one's perfect.
I think we're going to see a solid B. And you know what? That's what the world needs right now.
A nice 4-star movie would be
Yeah.
good. 4 out of 5.
All right. Well, if you're new to the pod, Pete and I are going to go inside, watch the movie, then come back out and give you a spoiler-free, immediate reaction to the movie we just saw. Also tell you the best time to go to the bathroom, and this movie is long, so that's going to be good information to have. And then we're going to give you plenty of warning before we go into spoiler talk. Anything else, Pete?
No, stick around, guys. We'll probably sound a lot more tired in the next 10 seconds.
No. We're gonna have some espresso. It's gonna be great. Everyone, stick around.
It's gonna be high energy. We're gonna bring it in, and we're gonna talk for like 40 minutes about how good Gladiator II is. Done.
Okay, wish us luck, everybody.
Catch you later. Welcome back, everyone. That was Gladiator II.
All right, Pete, you gotta go first this time.
I'm just gonna throw it to you this week. Let's get straight into it, I suppose. We're not messing around there now. I would say I think we're pretty much bang on with how we felt going in. I thought it was good. It was fine, but yeah, I had some issues with it. By the end of it, I didn't feel like amazed. I was kind of a bit like, okay, it's ended. And we can get more into that with spoilers, but for me, the last third of the movie kind of lost me. By the time it got to that point, I felt like I don't know if that was just it was the length sort of blended a bit to that, but yeah, just by the last third, I didn't really like the direction it went and some of the decisions it made, and then the big swelling finale, it kind of just fell flat with me, sadly. But other than that, I mean, great, like before, great sequences in it, good performances. Yeah, but it just didn't really hit the high for me. But it was a bit just like a fine movie. Sadly, which is kind of what I expected. A bit of a like unnecessary sequel that was just fine and good. What about you? Did you hate it?
Well, I will agree that it was it had like a lot of fun sequences.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it's interesting you say unnecessary sequel because I think that like this movie knows it's an unnecessary sequel, and like
Fair enough.
At points it decided to be as like ridiculous and stupid as it could possibly imagine.
Yeah, it did go a bit crazy.
And yeah, and I think quite deliberately. Yeah, I had fun. Agree with you on the performances, but yeah.
Although I think some people thought they were in different movies than other people. There's a lot of camping it up. Like Denzel Washington was camping it up big style. I loved his character though.
He was absolutely delightful.
And the two guys that played the emperors, they were just like, oh my word, they were just like,
yeah, well, and
crazy. It was like a sort of Saturday Night Live sketch at points.
And Paul Mescal was like really playing like he's in like an Oscar caliber movie.
That's what I mean. It kind of like it was tonally. It was a bit like, what are we doing here? Did you It is the guy who's in the Fantastic Four. I'm pretty sure. I might be wrong about that. And we didn't look any of the things up that we said we were going to look up. So oh well. But did you clock who the other emperor was? The guy, the most stupid one that had the monkey. Did you recognize him?
Yeah, well, I know like he was in like Thelma.
Yeah, that's what I recognized him from. I was like, it's that kid from Thelma.
Yeah, he's such a sweet boy. And then
like, what happened to my boy? So yeah, but I thought they really were playing it up. But I mean, that was the characters. Like there was supposed to, but
for sure. Like I'm not.
Like, they did a good job of it. It was just a bit like, yeah, okay, well they're having fun with this.
Well, and careful not to say anything.
Yeah, try not to spoil
spoiling,
stuff.
but where the first Gladiator is like heavily criticized by historians for like being inaccurate. At least it kind of had like one foot in the door of reality, whereas this one is just like completely bonkers.
I know what sequence you're talking about, and there's actually, because I read about that, there's actually some truth behind that about the water and the Colosseum type stuff.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything specific.
No, I don't want to spoil that, but I think they might have done it in something else as well. Like not obviously not as crazy as what was going on in this movie in parts, but I think there is some historical accuracy around them doing that for naval battles and stuff.
I just mean kind of I wasn't even thinking of that sequence.
Oh, I thought you meant that one in particular, because that was a bit like, oh my God, what's going on here?
Just like that, it was just like bonkers shit, crazy stuff going on the whole time.
I think one of my main issues with it, and it's interesting, we talked about the extended version of the first one. There was way too much movie there for me. There was so much going on. I think that's why as well. Like when I got to the final film, I was like, it was still just going on. There's way too many scenes of people just talking about stuff in cells. And there was a point where I was like, can we just have another fight? Oops, because I'm getting pretty bored.
Well, you can really appreciate this about the first Gladiator, in that there's like 4 characters really that really matter, and then there's like a bunch of tertiary characters around those, but like you understand like all the main characters' motivations, how they relate to each other. And this one, there's like a lot of complexity, and there's a lot of like different plots going on.
Yeah, there was a point in the movie where I was like, are you gonna have your Gladiator in your Gladiator movie? Because he's not even in it for like 15 minutes. Because of all the plot they were trying to get through and all the different, like you say, all the different characters doing stuff, I was like, I kind of just want to concentrate on the Gladiator. It is a movie called Gladiator.
Excuse me, is there going to be a Gladiator in
your
your Gladiator?
I'm planning on having some Gladiators in your Gladiator movie.
But yeah, I can't say that, I didn't enjoy Paul Mescal. I thought he was really good.
He's good.
I don't know if that's like a movie star performance.
No.
But he like
I was getting major James McAvoy vibes from him. I don't know if that's just because of the beard.
Well, yeah, and I guess that's an interesting comparison, because James McAvoy also just really wears his emotions on his sleeves during his performances. Yeah. And like Paul Mescal is basically like always kind of like teary-eyed.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just his eyes was just puffy the whole way through.
Yeah. But yeah, like I do also really appreciate Denzel Washington's performance.
Oh man, he was loving it.
Like I don't think I've seen him.
Yeah, I want to get into that. I want to get into that with spoilers, because I do want to talk about that. So, but yeah, I agree. He was really great. He's great in everything though, man.
But yeah, I feel like he's been like a little sleepy lately, but here he was like really active and engaged.
Yeah, well, you tell he was having a great time. That's what I mean. Like, I think he's just taking roles that like he just wants to like do something fun.
Well, there was stuff in the news this week about how they cut like a kissing scene.
Oh, really?
With him and another man.
Oh, with Denzel.
Yeah.
Oh, that was fun.
And the movie itself is like incredibly homoerotic.
Yeah, they don't hide it behind a bushel.
That's a positive of the movie, I would say.
Yeah, they hinted to it in the first one a couple of times with just like really effeminate like houseboys.
Yeah,
but yeah, this one it was just like, nope, they definitely are.
Well, and like it's really kind of like leaning into the like epic influences. Like Spartacus had like a lot of like homoerotic themes and stuff in there too.
Yeah.
There are a lot of like queer coded characters who I'm still trying to parse out how I feel about how they're kind of portrayed on there, because some I would say are portrayed quite negatively in that regard.
That's fair.
And then like even with Lucius, like I feel like there's like
no spoilers.
A hinted. What he was in the synopsis.
It wasn't.
It's kind of crazy that's actually a good point.
I think they wanted. I think they were intending to try and keep that a secret, and then it was just like it's not a secret.
It's it, but it's in the marketing.
That's
Like
what I mean. That's what I mean. I feel like when they filmed it, they're like, "Oh, this is going to be a big reveal," and then they're like, "You know what? Everyone knows already. Let's just put it front and center."
yeah, it's crazy how like
because it plays like it's a reveal in the movie, and it's like we're not supposed to know because you literally put it in your synopsis and in all your market material.
yeah, and there's multiple people finding out about the
Right.
like his lineage throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Which again kind of adds to the runtime.
Yeah, true enough. True enough. Yeah, I feel like there's whole swaths of this that you could have got rid of and just had help the pacing a bit.
But yeah, I feel like it really did need more scenes with Lucius as a gladiator, like interacting with the men that he was like supposed to be leading. Because
that's what I mean. They kind of just dropped that whole thing and just went on to do they focused a lot on. I can't remember her name. What's her name? Connie
Nielsen.
Yeah, what's her character's name though? I can't remember her name.
I don't know.
But I felt like she was in this more than she was in the first one.
Yeah, definitely.
She was like the main character almost, which nothing against, but I was a bit like, why are we focusing so much?
I have a little bit against because I feel like she's lost an acting step.
Oh, like really? I thought her voice. Her accent was changing a little bit.
Yeah, her accent was changing.
So I remember the first one, she was just doing like really British accent, and in this one, she was like flipping around into different like styles. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird.
I felt like her performance was pretty wooden.
Yeah, well,
not to be mean to Connie Nielsen, but I think she was a weak part of the movie,
especially with how much they focused on that character. It didn't portray why we should care about her. I didn't think as much.
Well, and like also Pedro Pascal's character too, like
that was so underused. I thought I thought he was kind of wasted, that character, to be honest.
Like underused to the extent where I think that it would have been a stronger movie if it just lifted that character and the mother character out completely.
You know what? I can't even argue against that. I mean, horrible to say because I love Pedro Pascal and everything he's done. Everything he's
no disrespect.
He was great in this, but yeah, I mean, I don't know what that character really. It was almost like we need someone coded more like Maximus to be in this, but we don't really want him to really do much, so we'll just have him be around. And it was just like, yeah, I don't think we really needed that.
Well, I think it confused the movie. This movie is saying some interesting things, and I guess like that character plays a central role in that.
Yeah.
But I feel like what worked so well with Gladiator was the personal relationship,
right?
And like the personal motivation of the revenge story.
Yeah.
And then this one, like those waters got really muddy.
Way too muddy. Definitely. And then you were just like, by the end, I was like, I don't really know who I'm rooting for here. Like, I don't know who the movie wants me to root for at this point. And then at the end, it like tried to make it over who I was supposed to be rooting for. And I was like, I don't know if that was earned, to be honest with you. I don't know what's right and wrong anymore.
So, how do you feel like this kind of fits into the late Ridley Scott career?
So that's a good question. I definitely enjoyed it more than Napoleon.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
but it's not like he's like Ridley Scott is back to his best. I mean, it's well directed. I thought it was. It looked real nice. The action scenes were really good. I mean, but that's you come to expect that from him now, right? I mean,
yeah, like I think especially the early acting scenes or action scenes, like almost the stuff before the Colosseum was better.
I know what you mean. Like the big opening set piece, I thought was really, really good.
I think the last three movies he's done, like House of Gucci, Napoleon, and now this.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a weird like pace to the movies. Like the editing kind of skips around like a little bit too much. Whereas like the in the first Gladiator, for instance, like there's a lot like it seems like such a tight movie, but also like the scenes that are in there like have room to breathe.
Yeah, that's true.
There's like in this one where Denzel Washington's character meets Lucius for the first time, it kind of just cuts to him already sitting in the chair. Then
Right.
all the gladiators like sitting in front of him, and I just can't help but think like, well, we missed like
Yeah.
all the characters getting
where's the
there,
introduction?
and like they're kind of just like skipping to that. Like there's obviously some good stuff around there because like Denzel was like shifting in his chair and like doing like some interesting switches and stuff, but it kind of just jumps in there and then like it's kind of forcing us to fill in the gaps ourselves a little bit too much.
You know what I will give it credit for though? Like when it started, I was like, oh, it's doing that thing of what the legacy sequels do, where it's hitting all the beats of the first one, like giant opening battle sequence, and then like them going to Gladiator School, like all the beats of the first one. I was like, is it just going to hit all the same beats basically? But then it hit a point where it's like, no, now we're going to now we're going and doing our own thing, and we're not gonna just copy the first one anymore. Although it did it in parts, but so I was like, okay, I guess that's give them credit for not just redoing the first one. Although that might have been better, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, like he like that's kind of what I was saying before, but how the movie is very aware that it's an unnecessary sequel, and it almost kind of like pretends like it's gonna go hit the same beats,
and then you thought we were gonna do that, but we're not. We're gonna pull the rug,
and then it really does go off in a completely wild direction.
It really does.
Which I was like, you mentioned the third act fell off for you. I agree with that. The beginning of the third act, I thought like, oh, this is really cooking, but then it just it
totally lost me. If I'm being honest. Like I was like, ooh, where's this going? Where's this going? I was like, oh, I don't really like where this is going, and I'm not interested anymore. That was pretty much how I felt at the end of the movie, which was disappointing because I remember watching the end of the first Gladiator, which I'd seen so many times, and even watching it again last night, I was like, you feel the same emotion, and it just gets you.
Yeah,
and then this one, I was just like, it's not even slightly getting me, and that's disappointing.
There was not really any emotional connection.
No.
Even like
to any character, really.
Lucius's motivation and backstory are all, I would say, quite clear.
Yeah.
But we don't feel his pain the way that we felt Maximus's pain.
Although, and I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but I feel like it does flip flop a bit though. Like what his goals are, what his motivations are. I was a bit by the end. I was a bit like I couldn't really figure out like what his motivation was to get to the end point.
Well, yeah, like as soon as we get into spoilers, I do have some thoughts on that. So, but like it definitely does it definitely does not have the simplicity of Gladiator, and you know maybe that'll be a strength for some people.
Yeah,
it certainly didn't play it safe.
No, I mean it took some swings for sure. It was pretty brutal in parts as well. Actually, like the violence was quite visceral in parts. I mean, it's funny to say when you talk about Gladiator fighting and stuff, but like it didn't pull its punches.
Yeah. Did the CGI bother you?
It did in parts, if I'm being honest.
It was the animals.
Yes, the animals. Yeah, exactly. All of the animals, basically.
Yeah,
being honest.
The ships at the beginning were kind of bothering me, but like we still got some interesting visuals out of that, so I'm gonna give that a pass. But
yeah, it's tough when you're trying to do living creatures, and they're like we talked about the apes on the way here, and that looked like it was some kind of fucking video game, if I'm being honest with you. I think purposely so, because they didn't look like any kind of apes you might have seen before.
Yeah, is that based off of like a real like it?
I don't know. It was the weirdest looking
animal.
creature I've ever seen. It's an odd choice to use that as what he was fighting. He could have literally done anything, and they chose like very odd alien looking apes.
Well, you mentioned video games. I don't know if you've played any of the like Assassin's Creed games, because
I've dabbled, but I couldn't get into them.
This really reminded me of like the later games where you are like you're in charge of being on a boat and like you're ramming into stuff.
Played that one.
It's like it really reminded me of that.
Like pull, ramming speed. Yeah, and I don't mind that at all. But yeah, they kind of dropped off on that. It's like you said though, they were doing different things. They were definitely doing wild swings and trying different things, but yeah, it didn't work as well. I don't think.
But I would say like we came into this wanting just some fun, and I think we got some
Oh yeah,
fun.
definitely.
I would say definitely go out to the theater to see it.
Oh yeah,
Um,
it's a great
I,
looking movie with some great sequences that should be seen on the big screen. I will say that.
yeah, I don't know if I'm giving it a B like I was planning
Yeah,
on, but
I don't know either. I feel like there's a movie in there that I would say is like a B, but I just think it gets lost for me. Like I feel like if you edited the crap out of it and changed a couple of things, then I feel like it could have been improved. But I mean, I'm not going to tell Ridley Scott what to do, even though I just did.
did you end up seeing The Last Duel?
I haven't seen it.
I keep giving you homework to go see it.
Oh man, I've got so much homework. I just rewatched Gladiator instead.
But that's one like that one. It still gives me hope for Ridley Scott's.
I mean, he knows what he's doing. He knows what he's doing. I think he just needs a tighter script and maybe someone to sort of pull him back a bit here and there.
Save him from his own impulses.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, what I definitely appreciate this movie is like the Ridley Scott who hates wealthy people in power is still definitely there.
Oh,
like
it's there. It's alive and kicking.
The Northern England guy who
Yeah.
has like total contempt for the ruling class.
Pretty much, right? You know, what I did think didn't quite work as well. You could tell there was a few sequences where they were trying to do like this is going to be the big monologue bit, and this is where this is the speech that everyone's going to love. And I was like, I couldn't even tell you any of those lines right now, and I've just seen it. Like none of them really hit home.
Oh yeah, the script is not like
it's
pretty good.
poor.
Like
Yeah.
it's
It was. You could tell it was trying real hard though to be like, this is going to be the line. It's like, no, it's not, guys.
yeah, I think thematically it's got some interesting things to say, but like in terms of dialogue, there's
it's just well, I mean, you're comparing it to the first one as well. It's just like it doesn't even come close, which was an impossible task, to be fair.
All right. Well, before we get into spoilers, I wanted to do my P report.
Yes.
Around an hour and 25 minutes, Denzel Washington goes to the house of his gambling partner,
Right.
and then they both talk about conspiracies and events that we already know that they know. I feel like it's
yeah. There wasn't a lot of new information.
No new information. Good time to go to the bathroom. But yeah, don't take your time. Lots of stuff happens in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot going on for sure. But yeah, I feel like anything you do miss, they'll probably tell you again in a couple of scenes anyway.
Yeah.
There's a lot of going over the same information, I thought.
So, all right, anything else before we go into spoilers?
No, I think we should get into it. Let's get into the meat of it here.
All right, well, we're going to drop into spoilers now. If you care about spoilers, drop off, come back when you've seen Gladiator II.
Yes.
All right, spoilers.
So where should we start? Well, I'll tell you where I want to start. Like, how did you feel about the Maximus is your dad?
Well, it would have been fine. They mention it 10 fucking times.
They do talk about, and he's immediately like, my dad, Maximus Decimus Meridius. He has to say his full name because remember that time he said it and it was super cool. I'm going to keep doing that. Yeah, I did not like that, if I'm being honest. And I think, maybe this is just me, but like I've seen that movie, the first movie, a lot of times. And it is never even like slightly hinted that could possibly be the case.
No, he's just like,
it's a massive retcon in my mind.
Well, like,
although looking back, I'm like, well, actually, they never really talked about who his dad is, and it makes sense that it was Maximus because there's a bit of a thing between them. So I guess maybe I just missed that.
I think they just had like a flirtation, but like, Maximus is married. He seems like a devoted family man. Like I don't know.
That's me. I was like, well, how old was his kid that died in the first one? Maybe he was like 8, and then this Lucius kid is like 12. So like maybe there was like years before he got married, he was like having a bit of a dalliance with this one, which is fine.
But honestly, like I feel like it's just his son died, and he sees this kid, and he just like sees shades of his son and that kid, and then he has he wants to protect the kid because
Exactly.
this is the kid he can't protect. He couldn't protect his own son.
Yeah,
He doesn't have to be a biological
never got the
father.
impression it was like, Lucius is safe, my son Lucius.
Yeah.
It's like, no, there was nothing about that.
It doesn't really bother me, but like
No,
they
it
were
didn't bother
really
me
hitting
huge.
home. Like
Yeah,
you can only be like a successful gladiator if you're like
if you relate to him.
you're sired by the right sperm, I guess.
Yeah, and then they're like, oh, look, here's all his armor. You can put that on later on in the movie. It's just like, yeah, that's gonna happen.
I feel like that sword wouldn't have been sharp.
Well, it did kind of break.
It
when
did
hit on
break,
the
yeah.
It was shiny.
Yeah, they should have done a better job of maintaining that.
Right. Yeah. No, yeah, that wasn't my biggest pet peeve. I just wanted to start there because I was like, it was an interest. I thought it was interesting. It was almost like they were like, oh, we'll make it so he's his son, and like you say, they just keep mentioning it. And I don't know how necessary it even was in terms of the plot of the movie. Like, it didn't really matter either way if it was his biological dad or not.
Right.
Like, it didn't make a difference. Anyway, so yeah. So I was saying about how the third act sort of fell off for me. And for me, I want to get into this about like Denzel Washington's character. I liked a lot. So
Yeah.
when they made him like super evil, I was a bit like, I don't know if I like that. Like I get that it was kind of building up to that, and he was kind of always doing his own sort of moving the chess pieces around for his own gain. But then he just kind of got a bit cartoonishly evil for me at the end. It's just like when he pulled the guy's head out, and then he's stabbing the guy in the ear. I'm like, this is like, it's unnecessary. Like it happened so fast. It's just like now I'm taking over everything. It's like, well, hang on a minute, how did you do that so quick? Just because you cut the one guy's head off.
I liked when it was like first happening, like when he got like the one brother to
Yeah, when
cut
he's
the other
just like,
brother's head off or whatever.
yeah,
But then,
I think that was it. Like I was on board with that, and then as soon as he did the pulling the head out thing and just being like, I'm in charge. No, everyone put your hands up, put your hands down. I was just a bit like, oh, for fuck's sake, like, seriously?
I'm the captain now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I didn't really like that. And then, like, I didn't really understand what, I mean, I understand, like, they're like, oh, and then we'll have him shoot her with an arrow so that he's definitely the bad guy, and then they have to have a fight at the end. And I was,
I don't know why he did that.
yeah, like,
why did he do that?
and how is he such a good shot? That was an incredibly good shot with that.
Because he
bow.
wasn't a gladiator, right? Like he
I
was
don't
a
think
slave.
so. Yeah, he said he was a slave.
Or did he?
Oh, no,
did
he
he
was a
become a
slave.
gladiator? And
I
then-
guess maybe he must have, but they didn't really talk about that. Like in the first one, they talked about Proximo being like a great gladiator that won his freedom.
Well, he's kind of like being Proximo in this movie, right? But then he has quite an evil turn.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I mean. I think that maybe that colored it a bit for me because it was like there was like he was the definite parallels between those characters, and that they definitely could like change direction because rather than having a redemption arc, he just turned into an evil villain. Which I mean, like you say, they're doing something different. But I was like, but I really liked his character, and I kind of would have rather have been rooting for him than wanting him to die. And I really didn't understand why he rode his horse down there at the end.
I don't know.
Denzel Washington. I
don't know why he would do that.
He really wanted to get there super fast. And I have no idea why.
He just wanted to get there to die.
Yeah, it's just like, we need to have an epic battle, so I'm going to go out here. And then apparently he was very good at fighting because like Lucius's character was just like mowing people down every time he had to fight someone. And then along comes Denzel Washington, and he seriously struggles against him to a point where he should have been died many times.
Well,
I guess he was tired, maybe. I don't know.
In the first Gladiator movie, they make a point to show you that Commodus is a good fighter himself.
Yeah, and then he also like punches his lung during his last fight, so he's severely like.
But he shows like he can at least be in the arena with him.
Yeah, and all it took was like a 3-second shot of him doing some sword fighting. Oh, just mention it. Just mention that I used to be good with a bow and arrow and a sword. Because he was like really seriously kicking his ass, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess he's like pretty good for an old guy. I don't know. The Equalizer came out, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. Got him back into shape.
Yeah.
Well, in the first Gladiator, I think they only mentioned it 2 times about like the Marcus Aurelius line about the dream of Rome.
Oh God,
We got to get back
how
to
many
it.
times? I think they only said it
And-
yeah, like twice in the whole movie.
And in this movie, like they mention it like 7 or 8 times
Yeah,
or whatever.
so many times.
And so like the themes of this one hit a bit different in that, you know, it's not about returning to, you know, the pure form of Rome. It's kind of questioning, did this pure form ever actually exist?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I really felt like Scott was making a commentary on, you know, maybe the United States at the time now.
Likely. Make Rome great again.
Well, it's kind of what I was getting at. Like it, and it seems like I was trying to kind of figure out, like, you know, what is the Denzel Washington character? Like he's really like kind of like a billionaire inserting himself into politics, creating chaos for his own benefit.
True. Yeah, I guess you could definitely make that connection.
But then yeah, this movie, all the characters, like they really keep quoting Marcus Aurelius a lot, which I thought was really funny. But yeah, then the theme hits a bit different in this one, in that, like, you know, maybe the dream of Rome was never true, but we can still believe in the lie and then use that as a strength for us. And then like has like the metaphor of like the sword hitting his breastplate or whatever.
Right. Yeah, I can see that. I don't know. There's just way more things that didn't work for me than did in the movie.
Well, even if it's playing with like interesting themes, I don't think it's handling it well.
Right,
like it's like
true.
It's clumsy and there's too much stuff going on, and it's trying to say too much.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about those crazy brother emperors. Like they were certainly amusing.
That's what I mean. They were like over the top crazy, but like you never really got to I never really felt like I knew them. There was like 2 scenes where they were just being crazy, and then that was about it. So I was a bit like, I don't even really care about them.
It was kind of just like a fascinating commentary on current politics without going into too much detail.
I guess
it's like what do you do when the leader of your country is just like completely batshit insane?
Yeah, just mostly terrifying for everybody involved.
And then just like the senators just like have to cheer when
just got a cow to it. Yeah, they got no choice.
When they put a monkey as like the second in charge, which is like incredibly interesting with all the cabinet appointments that are being announced this week.
That's pretty funny.
And then like they're all just like having to clap because like they don't know what to do.
Well, then that shit went on as well in Rome, right? Like, wasn't it like?
Oh yeah,
wasn't it like Nero made his horse like the second in command?
Yeah, because he was insane.
Yeah, crazy fucker. You know what I didn't really like was when they did the flashback sequence to like right after the end of the first movie, and it showed her like, oh, you've got to go. Like that seemed really odd, especially in terms of just watching that last movie and how like hopeful the end of that movie is.
Doesn't make any sense
for her. And like her whole thing in that movie was that all she cared about was her son and making sure he was safe and with her. And so when he's finally safe of Commodus, her first thing is to be like, "You got to get on that horse and just get out of here.
Yeah, there are
I'll
other
never
people,
see you again." It's like
people are going to come after you. I'm like, I don't know.
Are they really though? Like, because like you've got like an army to protect him now. Basically,
it seems like your son could now be the emperor.
Yeah, it was like, you got to get on this horse, and it's like, why have I got to get on this horse? Because of the plot. Damn it! You need to be gone for the plot. It's the only way this movie works.
Yeah, like him going off and like going to Egypt didn't make any goddamn sense. No, at all.
And I love the start when it's like, oh hi, this is my wife. Like Frigetta gonna die.
Yeah, I love you so much. You know what I love? That you don't have an arrow in your chest.
Exactly. I really wish you don't die. I hope you don't die, because that would be terrible.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna speak to his motivations, right? So like he's very dead set on killing Pedro Pascal,
right?
And then, you know, partway through that fight, he realizes that, you know, he's just a symptom of like a sick and corrupt.
See, that's what I was going to talk about.
Right? So he's mad at the empire, not
that switch. Though, did that work for you? Because it was like all he was saying is, "I hate the guy. I'm going to kill him. And he had plenty of time to think on it and realize that it was probably bullshit to go after the one guy because he was an invading army. And then he's actually fighting him, and then he's like, "Oh, now I've had an epiphany." And I was like, "What was it that made you change your mind? I don't even understand what it was."
Well, I think it's pretty unsatisfying because like, he realizes it's not Pedro Pascal. He's mad at the Empire.
Right.
The Empire's sick and he has to fix it. But like he ends up redirecting his rage onto Denzel Washington.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah.
Who also hates the Empire
That's what I mean. It is
right?
like, why did it go from Pedro Pascal to Denzel Washington? It's because he shot his mom with an arrow. That's why they put that in there.
Like it really should have been directed towards the emperors who were the ones like demanding that they go and conquer more lands, right?
Yeah.
So like him having a fight with Denzel Washington at the end was not emotionally satisfying because it was only like 2/3 to the movie that he realized like, oh, I don't know if I really like Denzel Washington that much.
You know what it is though, Trevor? It's just he really, really hates guys that shoot the women in his life through the chest with an arrow.
Yeah, he hates it.
It's the worst thing you can do. He just sends him really into a rage. That's the other thing they kept saying about like, use the rage. You've got to use your rage, and like he doesn't seem to be raging out very much.
He doesn't seem that he was mad at
that angry. He smiles a lot, to be honest.
Yeah, he seemed kind of chill, to be honest. Yeah,
he seemed like a stoner at some points.
He was mad at that monkey.
Yeah, he growled at the monkey. He definitely had some monkey rage there. Bit the thing's arm, but yeah.
So yeah, any last thoughts on Gladiator?
I'm trying to think if we're missing any big points that we didn't really get into. I mean, we didn't get too much into Pedro Pascal, but like I was really disappointed when they killed the character off. I was like, really, all that work for that character? And I mean, then I get like, yes, you kill him off, it's shocking, and
I think it's a better movie because you have two Emperor brothers. Pedro Pascal kills the one, and Paul Mescal kills the other one. Right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just do that. Have a big fight.
And then I don't know what to do with Denzel Washington. I feel like he doesn't fit that well.
I think that that's what the first movie did so well. It's like, here's the bad guy. He's a full-on bad guy. All you have to do in this movie is kill the bad guy, and then you'll be happy. In this one, in this movie, it was like, who's the bad guy? Oh, it's this one, but not really. Okay, now maybe it's this one. But like even Denzel Washington's character, he was evil, and his plan was to make everything burn. But in reality, he was like, I got a fucking bug to bear. I was a good guy, and people treated me like shit. So now I'm getting my revenge too. And it's like, okay, so kind of sympathize with you as well a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. There's no bad guys in this anymore.
And like I feel like I understand what Scott was going for with this one because it's like it's not like a personal enemy. Really, the enemy is like a society that's in decline. Right,
yeah,
but
totally get that. It's just
that's not satisfying.
It's not satisfying at all for a movie. It's like, this doesn't work for an entertaining movie at all.
Yeah, so like it's just not clean in that way. Now that being said, was very entertaining, very fun.
What did you think of the sharks? I thought the sharks was a bit ridiculous.
I thought it was really stupid. Like,
it was really stupid.
Like honestly, when I saw like the water flooding, I'm like, oh, okay, this will be interesting.
Like that's legit. I mean, prove me wrong, but I feel I'm pretty sure that they actually did that in the Coliseum. Yeah, but I don't think they put freaking.
But I think that
great white sharks in.
But I think like it was just like an inch of water, and then like you were pulling the boat on wheels, right? Like I don't think you could fill it up.
Oh, I don't know. Actually, I don't know. I know that they definitely did like reenact naval battles by filling it with water. Maybe you're right. Maybe they just made it look like it was water.
Yeah, it's just like appearances. Like I'm pretty sure. Like I don't know. Like logistically, how you would actually fill it up with water? Yeah. Now I'm not complaining at all.
That might be actually an impossible thing to do. Yeah. I mean, those Romans did some feats of engineering, man.
Yeah, like they were smart guys.
They knew what they were doing.
But yeah, like having the actual sharks in there was really stupid.
I think honestly, because when they were going out, I'd be like, I'd just jump off that boat and just go swim away, and then maybe that was what it was. It's like we need to have a reason why they couldn't just jump in the water. Because otherwise it'd just be a bunch of people flapping around in the water.
It just was goofy, and you know what? I appreciate how goofy it was, but like the rest of the movie isn't as goofy as that scene was.
Very true. And I didn't really understand. Maybe I'm just dumb with my naval tactics, but I didn't really understand what they were trying to do. They like sideswiped him and then rammed him. I was a bit like, is that a good tactic? I don't know.
They broke all the oars, and I'm like, oh, okay, now they have maneuverability, whereas the other ship doesn't. But then they don't use it; they just come right back and ram them.
Like their boat wasn't trying to do anything. They were just like, now we're just going to shoot arrows at you until you're all dead.
It honestly feels like the smarter tactic.
Yeah, I mean they didn't have arrows, but that's what I mean. So they sideswiped him and then rammed him. I was like, could you not just have rammed him straight away? Like, what was the point in turning around? It just meant that they could shoot a few of you. But as I say, maybe I'm just done with naval tactics.
Well, that part was really reminding me of Assassin's Creed.
I bet it was.
Well,
anyway, that's probably good for.
Anyways, we're winding down. We'll see you next time for Gladiator 3.
Yeah, in 20 years.
Yeah.
Whose son will we find out is Pedro Pascal's son will show up?
Yeah, for sure. Well, an upcoming movie we're gonna go see Interstellar in 70mm IMAX.
Yes.
That's gonna be awesome.
Looking forward to that one for sure. Well, you Interstellar fans, tune in for that one.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll tell you how much you burn our retinas off.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess nothing more to say on Gladiator 2 except go to see it. Just expect to have a fun time. Don't try to think too much.
I feel like maybe we shit on it a little bit too much, but it's definitely not going to be remembered fondly. I don't think it's just fine. It's just fine. But yeah, that's about it.
That's about it.
Yeah, that's about it, guys. Appreciate you all. Spread the word if you like the podcast. Give us a shout out on social media. Tell your friends.
Yeah, tell your enemies too. They can listen.
Exactly. Yeah, if you really hate them, just send us to your enemies. Give them a bad day.
Yeah. All right. It's late.
All right. That's about it. That's all I've got to say. So until next time, that's the final word.